Hey, Magic fans, welcome back. This is your captain speaking here on Capnclydes MTG. Today, we have what I think are some of the best cards for bloomburrow for the new standard environment. Don't forget, rotations coming up, and because of that, new cards are going to shine. So, at first glance, this is what I'm thinking. But hey, with cards rotating out, some cards that have been pushed to the wayside may also, from the older sets, come to fruition. So, before we get started, don't forget, comment, like, subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 peeps. Once we get there, we'll have a giveaway video. It's going to be free for everybody involved. It'll be a good time. It'll be live, and it'll be, hey, free stuff. I mean, what's better than free other than getting stuff that doesn't cause you problems when it's free? I don't know where I'm going with it. Anyway, don't forget, like and subscribe. Put some comments down below. And there's links in the description if you want to help out, buy some cards, helps the channel, keeps the sponsor free. That way I don't have to tell you about buying gold or stock market or I don't know. I'm going to tell you about ShamWow calls. I'm just going to tell you. I'm going to tell you about ShamWow. Anyhow, let's get started. So this is the top 5. So we're starting with number 5 at the bottom. Good old Fabled Passage. If you don't remember what it's like to play with fetch lands, you must be new to Magic because these things are freaking everywhere. But Fabled Passage came out. It was a great card. Big impact in a lot of the older sets because you can search for any basic land. Since then, and how popular this card got, many other cards have since come out much like it. And what's best about this one? Well, the basic land comes to play untapped if you control 4 more lands. So the real drawback is having 4 more lands. Remind you, if this is your 4th land and it comes into play, that's 4 or more. So, pretty easy to pull this off, and almost everybody plays it. And there's a good reason for it. So, back in the spotlight for Standard, we have Fabled Passage. As we start getting back in these 2 and 3 color decks, this card is just going to be a 4 of, because deck thinning and mana fixing all in the same time, does it get much better than this? Next, we have Long River's Pull. So, 2 blue, instant, gift a card. Counter target creature spell if the gift was promised. Instead, counter target spell. So, what we have here, in my opinion, is a counter spell with a condition. Now, if you're playing against most decks, especially in Standard, they're probably going to be creature spells. If you come across another counter spell deck, you can let your opponent draw a card and just counter their spell. With that being said, you have to be careful how you use this, but then again, 2 blue for a card that by letting your opponent draw, you stop whatever their big shenanigans are, is a big deal. I mean, I remember back when Arcane Denial was big. It was a blue and 1 to counter a spell, and your opponent got the draw card, and you got the draw card. And guess what? Nobody cared because it was a counter spell. The odds are slim, depending on what kind of decks you're playing against, that they're going to draw a threat that's worse, honestly, than what you countered. So I expect this to be big. You already have some really good counter spells, which may push this to the wayside, but I just can't get past the fact that this counter spell is just 2 blue, and it can just stop anything. So, that's number 4. All right, moving on to number 3. We got an interesting one here. We have the Scrap Shooter. 2 green and 1, 3 mana, Trash Panda Archer, Raccoon in other words, for a 4/4 with Reach, and that's if you don't use the gift. If you gift your opponent a card, you can destroy target artifact or enchantment your opponent controls. Now, with that all said, this is a 3 mana, 4/4 with Reach. That is huge. Can't kill it with your normal 3 damage spells. You can't use most spells to get rid of it. It's only 3 mana. It has Reach. It can block flyers. It's not your normal ground pounder, I'm a 4/4 big butt boy for 3 mana. It literally can stop anything except like, a menace creature or some silly shenanigans. But also, when you start tacking on the ability to destroy any artifact or enchantment at the cost of your opponent drawing a card, this is going to be a 4 of. I look forward to seeing this card in Standard. And that's a complete lie because there are so many green cards as I was going through this list that are so good that it's going to be big booty boys all day long from green and green red decks. And it's going to be rough. It really is. There's already a green black deck out there that plays things like Horsey, and Graveyard Hate, Shieldred, and all that stuff. And when we rotate, the stuff that's going to come out of that deck, like stuff from Midnight Hunt, Shieldred, all that stuff, is going to need replaced. And this bad boy is the one to slip in that slot. Giggity. Anyway, great card, lots of potential, and for the value, I mean, fine, don't destroy an artifact or an enchantment. I'm just gonna make a 4/4 and beat you in the face for 5 turns till you die. Like, hello. So, that's number 3. Next, we have number 2, Lunar Convocation. So, black and a white enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, each opponent loses 1 life. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained and lost life this turn, create a 1/1 black bat creature token with flying. Here's the thing. These trigger in order, right? So the first thing that happens is, beginning of your end step, you gained life this turn, each opponent loses 1 life. Then down at the bottom, it says, at the beginning of your end step, if you gained and lost life in this turn, create a 1/1 black creature token. And how will we do that? Well, there's several ways to gain life. The big thing here is if you just gain life, this will trigger your opponent to lose life, meaning you'll get your bat. So you just have to worry about gaining life. But there's plenty of way for you to lose life. For example, for a black and 1 and paying 2 life, you can draw a card. Guess what? That is a loss of life. So, if you do something to gain life, I don't know, it's white-black, like have a life linker, punch your opponent in the face, and then pay 2 mana to draw a card, you're also going to get a 1/1 bat token. Drawing a card for 2 mana and 2 life is okay on a rate when it comes with a 1/1 flyer attached to it that can block anything. It's amazing. And there's going to be ways to break this, probably in several formats, to be honest. But this is really close to a fixed bitter blossom, but it is still, in my opinion, very doable to use. Now, all that said, drum roll please. The number 1 card affecting Standard, that's right, it is Beza the Bounding Spring. So why is a white card number 1? Well, shit's got real. We'll just say that. 2 white and 2. 4 mana for a 4/5. Already pretty sweet, and this is normally not something you see in white. Yes, it's legendary. You can only have 1 at a time. But honestly, people are going to kill this thing. And if they don't, you're going to kill them. And there's nothing saying you can't swing with this and then lay your second one. But the big deal about this card, for 2 white and 2 for a 4/5, when it enters, if your opponent has more lands than you, you get a treasure token. Mana ramp in white, amazing. Also, you gain 4 life if your opponent has more life than you. You can get both those at the same time. Also, create 2 1/1 blue fish creature tokens if an opponent controls more creatures than you. You play white-blue, or some facsimile thereof, and your opponent has more creatures than you. For 4 mana, you now have 2 1/1s and a 4/5. Also, if an opponent controls more cards in their hand, you get to draw a card. Late game, You could possibly get every one of these to trigger for 4 mana. Imagine, if you will, Magical Unicorn Rainbow Land, where you go, I'm going to lay Beza, the Bounding Spring, for 4 mana on turn 4. Oh, this is one of my only creatures in the deck. So guess what? I also went second, so your opponent goes first. You have more land than me. I'm going to get a treasure token. You also have more life than me because I've been taking a bit of a beatdown. So now I'm going to gain 4 life. Also, that beatdown I've been taking from those extra creatures you got, 1 or 2 of them, is going to give me 2 1/1s and this 4/5 creature. Also, you have more cards than me, so now I'm going to draw a card for 4 mana. It's absurd. And don't forget, guys, this thing's an elemental elk. All right? This is the ideal card against control players. And I know, before you fly out of your chair, this thing will never hit the board if you're playing against control. Rawr, 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 rawr. Did we forget Cavernous Souls is a thing? All it takes is 1 cavern set to elk or elemental, and this thing's not counterable. And you know they got more cards in hand than you because they're countering your shit. They're probably going to have more life than you because you'll probably burn damage by putting lands into play untapped or whatever it is you're doing to try to gain an advantage, because you know you're playing against a deck full of counter spells and you don't care about your life total. Also, they may have a 2/2 creature or some form of a creature on the board, which also gets out of control. And they'll probably have more land than you because control decks just do that and make land drops. That's what they should be doing. So this has so much potential in standard that I really think it's kind of absurd. Also, it says when it enters, as in entering the battlefield. And we know blink effects are really big. And my God, are there blink effects available in this set? So if this is the only card you're playing as a creature, and your whole deck is about boingy, 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 and blinky, 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 this thing is just going to be absurd and annoying. Oh, my Lord. So, yeah, lots of other good cards. Put them down in the comments. I can't go over all of them. Until next time, be kind. And I hope to see you across from the game table. Getting a little bounded in my step. Ring.